thought that's the way it was. Nobody cared. It's unlike today. I mean, there we were. No one said, where are the women, except you know who. And I didn't really understand. And so I was a young manager, no other women, and just very casually, not from a research basis, started talking to the senior VPs, and I said, how come there are no women managers? And certainly nobody ahead of me or anything. And without blinking, they said one of two things. Either women simply aren't qualified, and the other, women don't want these jobs. And I thought, I don't think so. I think there's more to this picture. So fortunately, I was a researcher. I could ask a good research question. And quite honestly, I sort of set out to prove them wrong in terms of that was it. There were psychological barriers. So I'm going to talk about or discuss 3 questions this afternoon. And this is the first one from 1973, 1975. Community. The companies were more likely to have their employees be volunteers on company time. Governance, the leaders of these companies were more likely to be on nonprofit boards and be involved in public policy. And in terms of environment, these companies were the ones that were more likely to be pushing for clean air, clean water, et cetera. So very positive outcomes. And then another study in China, they had just had 2 earthquakes. And the researchers then looked at what they called corporate philanthropic disaster response. And similarly, they found that to the extent there were female representation on the board of directors, there was more natural disaster giving than when there were not women on the boards. So the question that I was seeking to answer, gender balance and organizational performance. Women on boards improve firm performance. Women in senior management enhance firm performance. What I think we ought to be doing. I just think it's one of the many focuses, but I do think it's sort of an untapped but key focus to achieve greater gender balance at senior management levels. And what is that? I think what we need to do is challenge the corporate convenient, what I call corporate convenient, you could call it organizational convenient if you want, the corporate convenient way of structuring managerial work and replace it with structures and cultures that facilitate gender parity. Now, what exactly do I mean by that? I think that a major barrier to women's equality is our assumption about how work is done and the norms around these activities, especially at senior levels. And I'm really referring, you might be familiar with the anytime, anywhere performance model, as McKinsey calls it. The 24/7 work culture is another way of referring to it. Now, in looking at research to answer this question, one way to look at it is a nice attitudinal study. And this was a study of Fortune 500 senior male executives. And 73% said, yeah, it's possible to restructure senior management jobs to increase productivity and provide a work-life balance. 84%, these are all men, 4% of these men said, and I'd like these job options, but savvy men. 50% of them said, yeah, but I think talking about these with my boss would hurt my career, and probably right. Now, that's an attitudinal study. The study that I want to discuss that I think is an excellent study because it answers the question, which is the key question. It's not how we feel about it. It's, can work be done differently and still be done well? Getting at the performance aspect. I mean, it's the same reason when I, in question number 2, looked at